So I guess in coming back to that question, are there specific things that folks want to try to tackle next meeting? I mean, the fact of the matter is, whether you're talking about May or August or November, we know that time goes by very quickly. And so if we have certain decisions that we want to make, recommendations that we want to make to the board, I think it's good to plan. Yeah, Jim.
I think it'd be a good idea to try to come back and talk about what we would like to see in the facility that we present back to the public. Because if we're going to be trying to do anything from an information standpoint, we might as well be trying to get that information out to the public as quickly as we can.
Okay, and I'm going to interpret that broadly to mean we had a plan. Do you want to keep it the same? Do you want to change it? How, if you want to change it, how do you want to change it? Okay.
I think all of those topics are
Okay.
up for discussion.
And folks are open to discussing that next month? Okay. Yeah, just.
Jessica from Jail Alternatives. I guess I'm wondering from maybe, I don't know, public outreach or other people who have to come up. I know we've heard from the team vote no against, not the Justice Center, but what, I don't know.
With no one in jail.
Vote no on the jail team. We've heard their concerns and maybe what they're representing about why people voted no, but do we have a sense of what other folks are wanting to see different, and is there maybe a way to get, because I'm wondering, I don't know if there's any circumstance under which this crew would say yes, vote yes on this center. I don't know if there's anything we could do. So but I'm wondering, is there a percentage of that 47% who would vote yes under different circumstances, and is there a way to get a sense of that? And then that could dictate kind of how we move forward.
I think the short answer is yes. The easiest way, the best way to do that is through extensive and expensive polling, which we have never chosen to do, and I would imagine there's not a stomach for that now either. Otherwise, you're always, to some extent, working off anecdotal evidence. I think the folks in this room have, fairly broad circles, and in some cases work pretty hard to broaden beyond what they normally would do. And people do hear lots of things, and we would try to the best of our ability to incorporate that.
So I'm wondering if even from the anecdotal evidence, is there a way to sort of synthesize that information and bring that back here? And
I think
we're not doing our wheels.
hopefully everybody's doing that. I know me, everybody I've heard from, pro, con, whatever, I'm trying to formulate my own impressions of what the community thinks. Now, Pat may be getting totally different information. I think we'll have to just sit down at some point, see where we match up and where we don't, and make some decisions.
And I guess I'm suggesting perhaps that might be our next step. When you're talking, asking maybe for agenda items to move forward on, that might be maybe a next.
Yeah, I'd like to invite anyone who feels that a number besides 243 beds is appropriate, whether it's Professor Cox 160 or another person with a different number, if they bring their data and their reasoning for a different number. So far, all we have is political preferences.
Don't say that.
See
It's been 2 days.
reasons why a different number is better, and then the designers can address that in practical terms. So I would invite that information to be presented at our next meeting.
And that certainly could be a part of a facility discussion. That's an excellent idea.
My name is Terry Doms, and I'm not going to address the capacity, but it seems to me it's going to be very challenging to have an election again on this issue this next year. You're looking at a school bond referendum in February, probably a board of supervisors special election in March, a primary for city council in September, another election in November, school board after that. I'm not sure how much the public has a tolerance for continuing to go back and vote. Granted, these are very different issues, but they have to go back to the polling place to vote. So, like I said, I think it's going to be challenging to do this next year. Frankly, also, I think, I hesitate to say this, but it seems the attitude is you're going to do a better job to educate the public. But the sense is sort of that you're just going to talk louder from a higher vantage point and try and convince the public. And I don't know that that's going to work. I think you need to address some basic issues. I think Judge Russell sort of hit the nail on the head there, and you're dealing with what he called political motivation and preferences. I think that's a dilemma for you. And I know this is only my second meeting here, and you have been meeting for, some of you for 10
years.
14 years. So,
She's the record holder.
you should. So, I feel a little challenged to offer a point of view, but I think the dilemma that you're dealing with, and I know you've heard this before, is the facts that this country incarcerates more people than any other civilized country in the world, that unfortunately a majority of those people incarcerated are minorities, and a large percentage of those are on drug-related issues. So I think what's happening is people sense that, and they don't like it, and it's the old cliche, think globally, act locally. And that's what you're seeing turning up at the polls. They don't like those facts, and they really can't do anything about it, because some things really do need to change, and we're seeing that in Colorado and Washington. So until some things start to change legally, I think you have an uphill battle. I think you should probably consider, I think Pat said this, possibly separating the whole jail issue from the courtroom issue. And I know that's going to be very difficult, but I think you need to at least give that some thought. And I don't, again, getting back to what I said, I don't see how you can do that in the next few months. I think you really need to go back, I hate to say it, almost to the drawing board and sort of think about some of these issues. But you do face some serious dilemmas, not only in the number of elections, but the perception of the public, and they're showing that at the polls locally. So that's just a couple comments after 2 meetings.
Thank you.
Take it for what it's worth.
Anybody else?
Hi, Marie Consenius again. I think the first place to start, just to get it started, if we did start over, would be to not call it a justice center. I think that rubs some of us way the wrong way. And I think if you called it a courthouse annex and a jail, that would be more honest. And I think we start with honesty and don't presume to call something a justice center that's not a justice center. A lot of us know it. Then that would be a good first step. And then otherwise aesthetics. I know security is a concern to Lonnie. I can understand from Lonnie's perspective why he wants an attached jail. I understand that. He wants to lock, or at least this is what Jim McGarriger said, he wants to lock the courthouse doors and have people come in through the greenhouse or whatever it turns out to be. That's a security issue, but I think to call it a justice center is presumptuous and really rubs people the wrong way. I know it rubs me the wrong way. Thank you.
Clarify, you have down your next meeting is February 6th, and we're not meeting again?
No, we are.
We are.
But the time is moved. I think they're.
Yeah. The next meeting is in January.
So the next
The
meeting.
February meeting has to be at a different time. Well, and speaking of time, we're getting close to where a couple of us have to go. I guess maybe I would just urge the next time we kind of talk about, in general, for lack of a better word, changes to the plan that folks would be willing to entertain. Does that sound reasonable? That, I mean, we know some of that probably is in facility, some of that can be in name, or, I mean, there's other things we can consider there, but there's probably some changes that some folks feel are good, that other folks say, that's a deal breaker for me, and we need to have that conversation obviously at some point, so maybe next month, sort of in that role, does that sound reasonable to people? Now, the next, okay, so I'll just keep on moving into that. Okay, so we'll kind of plan on approaching it from that perspective, and then I suppose it makes sense to talk about what you're doing first before you talk about when you're doing it, so maybe we can get that done next time. We've already had plenty of comments from the public, but that is the next thing on our agenda. Is there anything else, briefly, that anybody wants to say? Okay, seeing none, anything other, any of the members? Seeing none, next meeting date. Our next is the 2nd of January, and that's scheduled for this room at 4:30. So hopefully folks can make that. That'll be too college football hungover. And then, and for everybody's notice there, in item 10, the Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee for February, we're going to start at 5:30. That'll still be in this room, but an hour later start. Any questions? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you all very much.